Hello, this is Dr. Do again. This video is outside of medicine, continue the book of Isaiah. I finished chapter 1 and move on to chapter 2. I'm going to read it first. The mountain of the Lord, chapter 2. This is what Isaiah, son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In the last days, the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established. As chief among the mountains, it will be raised above the hills, and all nations will stream to it. Many peoples will come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, so that we may walk in his paths. The law will go out from Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He will judge between the nations and will settle disputes for many people. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into plowing hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. Come, O house of Jacob, let us walk in the light of the Lord, the day of the Lord. You have abandoned your people, the house of Jacob. They are full of superstitions from the east. They practice divination like the Philistine and clasp hands with pagans. Their hand is full of silver and gold. There is no end to their treasures. Their land is full of horses. There is no end to their chariots. Their land is full of idols. They bow down to the work of their hands, to what their fingers have made. So man will be brought low, and mankind humbled. Do not forgive them. Go into the rocks, hide in the ground, from dread of the Lord and the splendor of his majesty. The eyes of the arrogant man will be humbled, and the pride of man brought low. The Lord alone will be exalted in that day. The Lord Almighty has a day in store for all the ground, proud and lofty, and all that is exalted, that will be humbled, for all the cedars of Lebanon, tall and lofty, and all the oaks of Bashan, for all the towering mountains and all the high hills, for every lofty tower and every fortified wall, for every trading ships and every stately vessels. The arrogance of man will be brought low, and the pride of man humbled. The Lord alone will be exalted in that day, and the idols will be totally disappear. Man will flee to caves in the rocks and to holes in the ground, from dread of the Lord and the splendor of his majesty, when he rises to shake the earth. In that day man will throw away to the rodents and bats their idols of silver and idols of gold, which they made to worship. They will flee to caverns in the rocks and to the overhanging crags, from dread of Lord and the splendor of his majesty, when he rises to shake the earth. Stop trusting in man, who has built a breath in his nostrils. Of what count is he? So this is chapter 2. I finished them. It's quite straightforward. Just the tone is kind of I cannot say curse, but it's probably saying that God is not happy. So if you recall the Psalm, David used a lot of also like ask God to be with him, to destroy the enemy. And this is what God is doing to, this voice from God is doing the destroying. So sometimes it's really confused like this. Chapter 2, Mountain of the Lord. This is what Isaiah, son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And this is what happened in the last days. The mountain of the Lord temples will be established as chief among the mountains. It will be raised above the hills. All nations will stream to it. Many people will come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, so that we may walk in his path. So this is in the quotation mark. This is what happened. This is the last day, which means the heaven, it seems like the God is take over the control. And the law will go out from Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. You will judge between nations, you will settle dispute of many people. and they will beat their sword into plowshares and their spears into ploughing hooks. And nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. So this is saying the last day. When it's under control in the God they believe, then the world will be peace. Everybody is under this one God to reign, and the mountainside Jerusalem will come out of the Lord to rule the world in the name of the God. The day of the Lord is a title, and then what happened? You have abandoned your people, the house of Jacob. They are full of superstitions from the east. So this is the reality, the real. The first paragraph is the mountain of the Lord. The purpose of the Lord, they believe, is to bring the last day, the mountain of the Lord temple will be established, and the purpose of the God is to establish, to ruin the rule over all the nations. But now what happened? The day of the Lord. It means this is the God is saying that the people of Israel, they turn away from the God. I think this is what happened. You have abandoned your people, the house of Jacob. They are full of superstitions from east and practice divinations, like Pharisees, and also the land full of silver, gold. They worship the idols, and they worship what their hand can made. And here said, do not forgive them. So this is saying those. The day of Lord is the title, and I said, do not forgive those. The Jacob, a descendant of house of Jacob, is doing the wrong thing right now. Go into the rocks, hide in the ground from the dread of the Lord and the splendor of His majesty. The eyes of the arrogant man will be humbled, and the pride of man brought low. The Lord alone will be exalted in that day. So still saying those, the house of Jacob, whoever doing those things with the idols of silvers, and going to the rock, hide in the ground, so from the God. The Lord Almighty has a day in store for all the proud and lofty, all that exhausted, and they will be humbled. For all the cedars of Lebanon, tall and lofty, all the oaks of Bashan, for all the towering mountains, all the high hills, for every lofty tower, every fortified wall, for every trading ships, every steady vessels, the arrogance of man will be brought low. So this is a continuous. I think this just the message is it's just for those days. We have it all the time, always. But just keep the hope that God will come to bring down those arrogant or whatever they have now. Do not envy. Do not look up. Just I think seek for the God. Man will flee to caves in the rocks and to holes in the ground from dread of the Lord and the splendor of His majesty. When He rises to take the earth, in that day man will throw away. And so this is the saying that the man will be thrown away. And I think this is probably the end of the day. Here saying also, so this is this saying that what's going to happen to the human if the Lord is angry. This is the end of the day. I think that's the day of the Lord. So I'm going to stop here. I hope you can read, interpret in your own way. It's quite deep, I think. I just touched some bases. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.